Hi friends, this is Krish, the Urban Naxal. Friends, today we are going to talk about a very unholy kind of a relationship between Lodha and HDFC. Now HDFC, as you know, is the leading home loan banker, and it has been a leading institution since several decades. Lodha, as you know, is a builder who has spread his wings quite wide in the country and is arguably the biggest builder of India. Now, the relationship between a home loan lender and a builder should not be too close. But we find that it is. And how close is it? So let me give you an explanation of this, and I will start first with an English expression. The expression is running with the hare and hunting with the hounds. So suppose there are a pack of dogs hunting down a rabbit, a hare. You are supporting, you are going along with the hare and saying, oh yeah, wait, I'm your supporter, I'm helping you. And then you are also on the side of the hounds who are chasing the hare and saying, wait, there he goes, catch him, there he goes. Then you go back to the hare and say, wait, they are coming here, you can run there. So what is this game? This game is called running with the hare and hunting with the hounds. Obviously, it's a very dirty thing to do. Now in this case, what are we talking about? I'm going to specifically come down to a consumer case called Consumer Case number 150 of 2013, which was heard by National Consumer Disputes Redressal Commission NCDRC, New Delhi. And the complainant in this case was one Mr. I.K. Madhusudhan Rao, no relative of mine. He's an Andhra Rao, I'm a Mangalore Rao. Madhusudhan Rao originally hails from Hyderabad. He was an NRI. I think he's still an NRI. And he booked a flat in Hyderabad costing 2.3 crore rupees back in 2009. And the delivery date was June 2011. And he took home loan of 2 crore rupees from HDFC. And later on, what he found was that Lodha, at the time of selling him that flat, at the time of his booking, did not even have proper permissions for construction of this project called Lodha Beleza. BELLEZZA, Beleza. It was supposed to be a very 5-star premier kind of a project, and these flats which were constructed, they were supposed to be sky view apartments, very, very premier, it's a rich project basically. That was the promise. The kind of amenities that they promised, again, very lavish. Olympic size swimming pool is only one of the facilities that they promised. They promised it would look like a holiday home or the kind of place where you would spend the rest of your life after retirement, which is probably what Madhusudhan Rao also felt he was going to do. He said, I have made my money in the US, now let me go and live my life in happiness and peace and joy in India, in Hyderabad. Unfortunately, what he found was that Lodha was in no hurry to complete the project, but was in a hurry to get loan disbursement. And loan disbursement was construction linked. HDFC was in no hurry to verify what Lodha said. If Lodha said a certain stage of the construction has been reached, HDFC had absolutely no intentions of cross-checking and verifying and making sure that when they are disbursing the money, that stage of construction has been reached and accordingly they have to disburse the money. Lodha was completely having a good relationship, very chubby, like we say in Hindi, Choli Daman ka rishta, very close, very cozy relationship with HDFC. And this is something that Madhusudhan Rao discovered. Maybe he discovered it earlier, but he thought, well, they are corporates, they are honorable people, they are going to honor their commitments. And when the delivery date came, until the delivery date came, Lodha was continuously sending correspondences saying we are about to meet our commitment and we will be on time and all that, and accordingly the home loan disbursal was happening. Now, according to the tripartite agreement between Lodha, HDFC and Madhusudhan Rao, the flat buyer, HDFC was supposed to be verifying. Now HDFC would like to say, no, it was all Madhusudhan Rao's responsibility. He okayed the disbursal and we disbursed it. No, it is not like that. The home loan lender has a commercial responsibility and a commercial interest. Out of self-interest, they are supposed to look after, look at whether the builder is telling the truth about construction stages or not. Out of their own self-interest. Because suppose the home loan borrower, that is the flat buyer, stops payment, then the mortgaged property, the flat, if it has not been constructed up to that certain stage, it means that the value of that mortgaged property is less than the loan that is recoverable, and that would send the institution into trouble. HDFC would get into trouble. So HDFC was doing gaddari, was doing betrayal not only with the flat buyer, it was betraying itself. Now why, you may ask, would HDFC do that? The reason is, as I said before, Choli Daman ka rishta, very close, Satgat, very close nexus. What is this nexus? Well, if you look at the red herring prospectus that Lodha put out in 2018 when they first started looking for a public issue, HDFC is everywhere. HDFC is mentioned 42 times in that. They are the lead bankers. Well, that's not a problem. They can be lead bankers. It's a professional relationship. But they are also major investors. They are major investors in this, not in Beliza in particular, but in the Lodha, in company, the corporate in general, their investment. And this, by the way, here now I am going to bring out another smelly fish, another skeleton from the cupboard of HDFC. So in that red herring prospectus, it says in 2011 June is when this man's Beliza flat was supposed to be delivered to him. In 2011, they investment from HDFC Venture Fund and Tramos Limited in Srinivas Cotton Mills Limited, that's a Lodha concern, was 5,000 million rupees, which is 500 crore rupees. Now we say, okay, HDFC Venture Fund and Tramos Limited, they must be two separate concerns. Then in 2017, exit of HDFC Venture Fund and Tramos Limited from Srinivas Cotton Mills Limited. Okay. They sold their investment of 500 crore rupees. HDFC Venture Fund and Tramos Limited. Okay. So we say, well, Tramos Limited, is it a separate concern or is it part of HDFC Venture Fund? So let us take a look. So I googled it, and what do I find? Tramos Limited is a Cyprus-based company. Cyprus-based companies, Mauritius-based companies, these are some companies where foreign money, you know, the kind of money that Modi ji said they will bring back to India, and sabko 15 lakh rupees milenge apne account mein and all that. Dirty money, black money hiding abroad, Nirav Modi type of money. That kind of money tends to be recycled through Cyprus entities. And this company called Tramos Limited moves side by side along with HDFC. When HDFC invests, then Tramos Limited invests. When HDFC pulls out, Tramos Limited pulls out. So I said, hey, wait a minute. What is this Tramos Limited? Let us take a look. So I opened up, I said, what is Tramos Limited? So it's easy, you just Google it. And what you find in Tramos Limited is, well, there is one guy who holds the position of director. His name is Jay Kumar Hariharan. I said, oh, okay, Jay Kumar Hariharan. Now, who is this Jay Kumar Hariharan? And is there any connection with HDFC? And I said, okay, let us take a look. And I just Googled Jay Kumar Hariharan HDFC. And what do I see? Mr. Jay Kumar is the head of operations at Griha Investments. I said, okay, interesting. What is Griha Investments? Right? And he has been working for the past 11 years. Fine. Griha Investments. What is Griha Investments? So then we go into this. So Mr. Jay Kumar Hariharan or Mr. Hariharan Jay Kumar is the head of operations at Griha Investments, where he has been working for past 11 years. Now what is Griha Investments? Griha Investments is a wholly owned subsidiary of HDFC Holdings Limited. So, is there a direct nexus? Well, it leaves you wondering. But let's leave all that. Suffice it to say, HDFC by itself and through its conduits, through which it brought in money from abroad, maybe clean, maybe not, we will have to see. This is the relationship, and there is more. And there is more. HDFC is also an investor in other capacities, sister companies of HDFC, the sister entities of HDFC, their insurance arm also is involved in investments, major purchase of Lodha's equity shares. So they are investors. Now what does this mean? This means that on the one hand, HDFC owns a stake in Lodha and it wants Lodha's profitability. Now, how do they ensure Lodha's profitability? They ensure it by disbursing the loans to Lodha early. Lodha, I'll give you an example. So suppose Lodha has reached 10th floor of a certain building which is supposed to be, let us say, 35 stories. I'm going with a purely hypothetical example. And Lodha sends a demand saying, hey, listen, we have reached 20th floor, 20th slab, and accordingly, please disburse this much amount to us. Now, a home loan, a flat buyer, a home loan borrower is not going to go there and verify whether they have reached 20th floor or not. They think that HDFC is doing its job. And so, if HDFC sends this thing to them for signing, they'll say, yeah, okay, disburse it. They have reached 20th floor. And HDFC says, yes, we are convinced they have reached 20th floor. We have independently verified. Finished. That's it. Their word is good as gold. And that money gets disbursed. So what happens is, Lodha effectively gets money early from HDFC. That money, which means, now there is a cost to this. What is the cost? On one side, HDFC is carrying an extra risk. The risk of non-completion, and if the home loan borrower stops repaying, then HDFC will have to take back that mortgaged asset, which will be worth less than what it should be if it has only been constructed up to 10th floor. That is one risk, the risk part of it. The other part of it is the home loan. The guy who's borrowing the home loan pays more interest for a longer duration of time because that amount was disbursed early. And so in this way, HDFC disbursed 1.68 crore rupees to Lodha. And they kept saying it's nearly complete, it's nearly complete. Now this man, Madhusudhan Rao, the buyer, had also given 55 lakh rupees right in the beginning. So he had given his margin money plus 1.68 crore. Totally it amounted to a payment of 95%. by the time the completion date came. And until the completion date came, they didn't say anything. They just kept saying, yes, yes, we are on schedule, we are on schedule, and HDFC went along with the act. And after that, they started saying, you know what, there has been this Telangana riot, and because of Telangana, there was this movement going on, agitation. So Telangana agitation, and that is why we are unable to deliver. And they started pleading force majeure. Now friends, I don't have to tell you, the builders agreement pro forma is always one-sided. Lodha's very particularly one-sided, extremely one-sided. It was that one-sided agreement. They included anything and everything into the force majeure, and they said force majeure. Now there is one principle about force majeure. Now all this consumer court upheld. Now let me tell you why I am saying all this, why I am explaining all this to you. Consumer court upheld the side of Madhusudhan Rao. It said, yes, there has been deficiency of service from the side of Lodha. There has been deficiency of service also from the side of HDFC. And you know, HDFC, rather than defending themselves in court, Lodha was appearing, Lodha's lawyers were defending them. Even at the stage of correspondence, where HDFC was called upon to defend its own actions, Lodha would send correspondence on behalf of HDFC. What does this indicate? Same thing. Dirty closeness, nexus, choli daman ka rishta. What in English we call incestuous relationship. There is another word, conflict of interest. Conflict of interest. You are supposed to maintain an arm's length distance from the builder entity if you are giving a home loan. But you are thoroughly, totally, absolutely, deeply involved with Lodha. You are involved in multiple capacities. Your sister companies are investors. You are investor. You are the lead banker of their public issue. You are involved in many ways, multiple ways. Okay, so your whole fate depends, and your independent director is their director. Lodha's director, I am not going to name that person. You just look it up in the red herring prospectus. He is also on the board of HDFC. There's lots of this kind of thing happening. And I would argue, adding to this, HDFC's operations, whatever those operations are of channeling money from Cyprus, or rather through Cyprus-based entities, I don't know how legal it is. Someone else has to take a look at that. Also involved with Lodha. This is the kind of close relationship. So why will they keep an eye on Lodha? They want Lodha to make a profit even if HDFC sinks. They don't mind. The conflict of interest has gone so far that they will act to the detriment of HDFC because Lodha is involved. Because Lodha should prosper. Because in the prosperity of Lodha lies the prosperity of HDFC. So what did they do? They basically threw this flat buyer's interests under the bus. It's only after 31st June 2011, the delivery date came and went. Then they started saying, Lodha started saying force majeure, Telangana, there was agitation, that is why we are not able to give you delivery on time. They conveniently ignored the fact that at the time when they had sold the flat, when this man had booked the flat, they didn't even have adequate permissions for starting the building. So they started the building in 2010. They got permissions in 2010. They omitted to even mention that before the consumer forum. They just don't want to discuss these things. HDFC did not at all, it put up no defense at all, and it was fined. It was fined by Consumer Forum 2 lakh rupees. Now 2 lakh rupees, I would say, is a joke. It is not a rap on the knuckles, it is a tickle on the knuckles. Now why Consumer Forum only tickles the people they find guilty, I don't know. But unfortunately this is how India runs. And they also gave a very gentle kind of an order based to Lodha, saying you refund Baba with 9% per annum. You refund his entire amount, whatever he has paid you, Madhusudhan Rao has paid you, at 9% per annum. Why 9%? Why 9%? It's a shame. But then, well, Indian judiciary, I don't know what all goes on. But the correct thing would have been, they should have said repay at 18%, because 18% is the rate at which Lodha was charging interest from Madhusudhan Rao whenever Madhusudhan Rao's payment was late. That is the rate they were charging. 12% was the rate Lodha was supposed to pay to Madhusudhan Rao, the flat buyer, if and when any occasion arose. But consumer court says, well, repay the whole thing at 9%, at the most 12%. If you have not repaid within 3 months, then Lodha should repay Madhusudhan Rao at 12%. This is the kind of an order which they have passed, and they have passed this order on is it 1st July 2022. 9 years this man had to struggle for this order. 9 years Madhusudhan Rao fought in consumer court from 2013 till 2022 and finally got this order. Still, the monetary part aside, on merits, I am going to make this point that it is 100% upholding every word that I have spoken in this video and everything that Madhusudhan Rao alleged in his consumer complaint. There is more. There is much more. In fact, if maybe consumer court does not have the jurisdiction to say some things, otherwise a lot more harsh remarks could have been delivered. If it was a high court judge, I am sure he would have delivered very harsh strictures against Lodha. Now, in any case, all this which I have told you, this dirty story emerges from the one consumer case fought by Madhusudhan Rao of Hyderabad, and consumer courts upholding all the facts that he presented. In a separate video, I am going to read to you what how Lodha fights. And Lodha in court fights very dirty. They will use every technical dirty trick in the book. They will throw all kind of kachra in the direction of the complainant. And they did that. Fortunately, consumer court ignored. I am Krish, the Urban Naxal, your friend. Jai Maharashtra, Jai Hind, Jai Jawan, Jai Kisan.